Now that we've finished with demo 9, we are on the home stretch. Integrating JSON was a big step forward because now we're going to be able to work with the JSON information. I'm going to take you through this step by step. So from demo 9, guess what's next? Demo 10. So let me go ahead and show you demo 10, how it's different and what it does. The first obvious difference is that we have the Google Map over here. In the previous tutorial, I showed you how to get your Google Map API key. So let me view the page source and show you where that is. Here we have two calls to some JavaScript. It's called Mapstraction, and that gives us the ability to work with the Google Maps, or really even Yahoo or MSN Maps, very, very easily. So it gives us the ability to switch out these maps. I'm only going to work with Google Maps, but Mapstraction makes it very easy to move from one map to another. And it also just makes it flat out easier to work with any of the maps. And I also have this JavaScript call to maps.google.com. This is the code that Google has given us with the API key right here. So that pulls in the JavaScript, but I still need a place to put the map, and I'm putting it in div ID gmap. Now what determines how big this map div is and where it's located and whether it has a border or not? Let me use the web developer extension to show you. I'm going to view the CSS, cascading style sheet information, and I'll click on style1.css. So you can scroll to the bottom of style1 and you'll see right here there's this gmap information. We got a width of 400, height of 400, padding, margin 5 pixels, border 1 pixel solid, dark, not quite black, but a dark border, and we're floating it over to the right hand side of the page, and that's how we get this effect like so. And so that's how the map is shown on the page. So let's go ahead and walk through this demo live on the web and see what it does. I will make a change here. It tells me I should expect 4 results, 4 counties with growth greater than 25%. Click Get Details. And just as in previous tutorials, we get this nice unordered list with the green check marks that are also set up in the cascading style sheets. Now, let's see here. Previously, these links would take us over to a new tab or new window. And if I hover over these, you can still see that information generated down below. That hasn't changed. So you see maps.google.com and then the information for the county, so that if a new tab were to open, the information would be there. But this is a little bit different. We're going to start working with the JSON data. The ultimate goal as we move through these tutorials, the ultimate goal is to be able to put all of this information over on the map. But we're not quite there yet. I want to take this one step at a time. So what I'll do is I'll click one of these, and you see that there's a number. I'll click another one. You see that there's another number. So what do these numbers relate to? What they relate to is the order that these appear in the list, unordered list. So this would be number 0. Arrays start with 0 unless you somehow use some code to change it, but they just start with 0. So Flagler County is going to be 0. The next one's going to be 1. Next one's going to be 2. Next one's going to be 3. So what we're going to be able to do is, since we can write this code that tells us what number the visitor has clicked, we can then go to the JSON data. Remember, we're receiving JSON data back, so we can go into that JSON data and very quickly and easily grab that information. We can say, okay, we're working with the 4th record or the 3rd record or the 2nd record. So go grab that record or that information out of the JSON data, the JSON object, grab that information and then put that on the map. But we're not quite there yet. I just want to be able to show you how we get that information. So with that said, let's flip over to the source code for demo 10. I've got demo 10 opened in Notepad++, and the first bit, again, this should be very familiar by now. That's PHP that generates the dropdown. We've got the JavaScript calls to Mapstraction and the Google JavaScript for the map API. We've got the gmap right there. Now here's where things get different, where we have script. Before we do document ready, I'm setting up a variable for Mapstraction. That's going to give me the ability to load information into this Mapstraction variable and move it from function to function and have it remember what that value is as we move from function to function. A lot of this is very similar. We've got we're processing the JSON when it comes back. We're building this. We're iterating through the JSON data, and we're building a county list, and we're adding reference tags to the information. But here's where it gets different. I'm adding a class. Class equals map link. So each one of these data points, each one of these links, actually gets a class. Class equals map link. So let me view the generated source using the web developer extension. And I'll go in here and show you. It's going to be a little bit tough to see. But if I go to the generated HTML, you'll see here's part of the link, and just as I would expect, it's giving us class equals map link. And that's going to give me the ability to add some more code. So I can go into the target div, just as we have in previous tutorials, inject HTML, add this county list to the target div ID, and then I can add on, this is where it changes, I can just chain additional methods on here. So I can just keep going and do .find. So in other words, find within that target div, find links with a class of map link. And then when they are clicked, so I just did .click, in other words, I'm still chaining more functions here. .click, when one of these is clicked, fire off this function. And when that function fires, we're going to create a variable called index. I could name it whatever I wanted to, but I chose index. And then I'm going to use a jQuery function, which is also called index. Use that to find where this refers to the link that was clicked, where this falls within all links with a class of map links. So in other words, find all links with a class of map links. So that would be the unordered list that we generated. And where does this fall? And store that information, whether it's a 0, 1, or 2, whatever that is, store that information in this variable called index. And then the next line throws up an alert box, sends up an alert box, and just sends that to the browser so we can see what that value is. And then the return false is helpful so that if without the return false, it's still a link, and so that would actually take me over to that Google Map page. I don't want to go over to the Google Map page. I want to stay on this page. So that's why I'm doing return false, so that we stay right here. So what happens, as you already saw, when I click this should be a 2. And so we stay right here on the page. It doesn't take us over to the link because that is an actual link. So that is that's demo 10. So now what we're going to be able to do is, since we can tell where these links fall within this unordered list of counties, whether we've got 4 or whether we have 16, we're going to be able to grab the exact number of where this falls in the unordered list, go to the JSON data, and start populating the map with the information that we already had loaded from JSON data. This gives us the ability, and here's what's important, we don't have to go back to the database. We don't have to query the database again, do another AJAX call. We've already grabbed this information, and because it's all stored as pure data in the JSON object, then that gives us the ability to just start working with the information rather than going back to the database and say, hey, can you give me that info again? This is one way to make our web applications faster and more efficient.